Hi, I'm Courtney and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be answering the very difficult question you may have been asking yourself, whether to buy an existing property or build a brand new house. I myself had to ask the same question about 18 months ago, and if you've watched my channel at all, you will know that I ended up building this house that we're in right now. But let me go through the pros and the cons that I struggled with when making the decision as well. Before we get stuck into it though, don't forget to head down below and hit that subscribe button and ring the notifications bell so that you're notified when I post videos just like this one. Okay, now let's get stuck into it. The first point I want to bring to your attention is one of the most obvious, and it is the cost difference. Now, I live in Sydney, Australia, and when I was building this property, I compared building against purchasing existing, purchasing off the plan, both apartments and houses and all different options across the board. And I found that if I purchased a piece of vacant land and I built my own house on it, that I could actually get a really great return on investment. I basically got the price of what that project would cost me, and I compared it against what the houses in this exact suburb were selling for on realestate.com, and I found out that I could make myself a pretty penny if I did it right. So that's exactly what we did, and I'm so happy with the decision we made. However, this can be very different if you're in a different city or a different suburb, so make sure you do the research before taking that into consideration. I know some other Australian cities, you are better off buying existing, but in my instance and in Sydney, Australia, typically building is a really great option to consider for something that is far more cost effective. The next item I want to bring to your attention is another obvious one, the location of your home. Now, if you are looking to build a home, typically you need to find vacant land. And vacant land isn't always available in the suburb you want to live in. Most of the time, if you want to live close to the city, then you can't find vacant land. You would need to find a property to knock down and do a rebuild on in order to be able to build a home. And this can again skyrocket those costs a little bit more than you're potentially hoping for. So you might want to consider suburbs where new land is being released in estates. Now, again, this might put you more towards the fringe of the city, but I believe the return on investment makes it a really great decision, and the edge of the city is forever moving out. So what is an edge suburb right now, in a few years might have lots and lots of infrastructure, such as transport, shops, and schools. So don't think that it's too far away if you do pick to go and build in one of those suburbs that are on the outskirts. The third item on my list that is a fun one is personalization. Now, when you are looking at existing properties, that is exactly what you are paying for, and you have no chance, unless you're going to renovate, to change it. When you are looking to build your own home, just like we did this one, you get to pick and choose everything. You get to pick the floor plan, the layout, where your master bedroom is, absolutely everything. The paint colors, the cabinetry, all of the stone, absolutely everything in your house is yours, and yours to pick the color of and the finishes of. So you get a lot more personalization. I myself love this part of the process and definitely made the home our own. But in doing so, I also made the home fairly neutral. I wanted to make sure that I maximized our ability for resale to open up to a broader variety of the market. So I didn't do anything that was too particular in any one taste, so that you could refurnish the house and make it your own if we were to sell it in the future. The other really important item to list, which can be a big saving cost to consider when deciding between existing or building, is stamp duty. Now, stamp duty is a very large tax that you take into consideration for both the projects. And if you're going to be buying an existing property, just know that you will be paying stamp duty on the entire amount of the house and land you purchase, the purchase price of that existing property. But if you are purchasing a vacant piece of land and then building a house on it, as long as this is a split contract and you have one contract for the house and one for the land, then you will actually only be paying the stamp duty on the land portion of that sale. So if you construct the house and it is two separate contracts, you can save yourself a nice amount of money in that stamp duty cost associated with doing so. The government grants are another big item to take into consideration. There are consistently new grants being brought in by the Australian government that can change the cost of building your own home. So do have a look at those before you do any further research to make sure that you can take that saving into consideration as well. These are always being updated and changed, so what is currently the process and the grants up for grabs can very well be different by the time you're watching this video, so make sure you do the research as to what is current. When it comes to existing property versus building, another big ticket item is your timeline. And the time difference between doing these two projects can be substantial. If you were to buy an existing property, on average it's about 42 days from your contract signing to settlement and therefore move-in. So it can be quite a quick process. This is sometimes even expedited down to as little as around 30 days. So with a build, you're looking more towards 12 months for the entire project, 6 to 7 months of which is your construction time, depending on the house and the builder you go with, and the rest of that time is your pre-construction, where you go through all the planning, all your selections, all your council approvals and the reports and everything necessary before you can even start that construction process. So there is a very big time difference between the two of them. And if you're in a rush to get into a property, then building a home is probably not the right option for you at this point in time. Another item on that list too is the difference in loans. So when you're looking to get a loan for both these projects, you are looking at two different types of loans. There is a construction loan if you are building a property, or a normal mortgage loan if you're buying an existing house. So that's something you might want to bring up with either your broker or your bank when you're going through the financing process for either project. New homes have another additional perk, and this is a pro that I definitely took into consideration when making the decision, is that they have far less wear and tear and less maintenance. Because everything is nice and new and as it should be, there is no wear and tear on the property. It means that things run a little bit easier and you spend less time fixing and having things checked and replaced. So there are a few savings that can potentially be made in these items as well. But I definitely appreciate the time that we save because we aren't having to get things fixed or repaired or repainted or resurfaced. So that's another one to keep in your mind when you're considering the two options. And last but not least, I do have to touch on energy efficiency and power consumption. So brand new homes have a fair few things involved in them. In the state of New South Wales that I live in, we have certain standards we have to meet with things like water and power efficiency, which makes our home a little bit greener, as well as lowering the cost of your bills. That is another cost to take into consideration if you are comparing existing versus brand new builds. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment box below. I always answer every question that is asked. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button while you're down there and ring the notifications bell so that you're notified when I post. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.